Right now in NASCAR, there is a very real sense that something significant is shifting, and you can feel it every single weekend in the garage. This is not just about one bad race or one difficult afternoon. This is about health concerns, contract pressure, team chemistry breaking down, and serious questions surrounding a driver who helped define an entire generation of NASCAR racing. At Watkins Glen, Kyle Busch was putting together one of his strongest performances of the entire season, running inside the top 5 late in the race with genuine pace and a strategy that was holding together. For the first time in a long while, the number 8 team looked like they had a real shot at competing for something meaningful. Then, during the final stage, Busch came over the radio with an unexpected request. He calmly asked his team to track down Dr. William Heisel after the race and told them he was going to need a medical shot. Veteran NASCAR journalist Dustin Long was the first to report the communication, noting that Busch specifically asked the doctor to meet him at the team bus rather than at the car. What made the moment feel significant was a tone in his voice, completely calm, direct, and entirely serious, with no panic, just a quiet and deliberate request that told you something was genuinely wrong. The FS1 broadcast later reported that Busch had been dealing with a sinus illness throughout the entire week leading into Watkins Glen, so this does not appear connected to any crash or danger situation inside the car, which is a relief. But even with that clarification, the moment still felt deeply symbolic of just how exhausting this entire season has become for Kyle Busch and for Richard Childress Racing as an organization. Just 1 week earlier at Texas, Busch was already drawing significant scrutiny following his on-track incident with John Hunter Nemechek on the white flag lap. Busch got aggressive in his battle with Nemechek during the closing moments, and the resulting contact cost both drivers heavily in the final finishing order. That incident opened the door for Kevin Harvick to step forward with comments that surprised a significant portion of the NASCAR community. Speaking on his show, Harvick essentially suggested that Kyle Busch may be running out of viable options in the Cup Series if his current trajectory continues. We are talking about a future Hall of Famer, one of the most accomplished drivers in the modern history of the sport, and there are now serious conversations happening about whether his long-term place in NASCAR's premier series is genuinely uncertain. Harvick stated his belief that the number 8 car at Richard Childress Racing may realistically represent Busch's only meaningful opportunity going forward, and went as far as saying that even if it is not the only option, it is almost certainly the best one. When you examine the current landscape of the Cup Series, that uncomfortable assessment starts making a difficult kind of sense. The majority of top-tier organizations already have young drivers locked into long-term contracts. Sponsor relationships are increasingly built around rising stars. And in the middle of all that, Kyle Busch finds himself at 41 years old navigating a complicated contract situation during one of the most difficult stretches of his career. According to multiple credible reports and conversations happening around Garage, the frustration building between Kyle Busch and Richard Childress Racing may genuinely be approaching a critical internal breaking point. There have been visibly heated moments at Martinsville, sharp radio exchanges, ongoing disappointment over car speed, issues with setups, strategic miscommunications, and a general sense that the program is simply not performing at the level either side expected when this deal came together. Emotional outbursts on the radio are nothing new for Kyle Busch. His entire career has included moments of visible passion, but the difference now is that during his peak years at Joe Gibbs Racing, those intense moments existed within a context of wins, deep playoff runs, and championship-level performance. The frustration now keeps accumulating week after week without the wins following, and that fundamental change in context shifts how everyone inside the garage perceives those moments. Sources with knowledge of the internal situation report that Busch is becoming increasingly frustrated with the organization's consistent inability to put him in a position to compete at the front, while people inside Richard Childress Racing are reportedly growing exhausted by the weight of constant negativity and emotional pressure surrounding the program on a weekly basis. Writing Kyle Busch off entirely would still be a significant mistake. This is still one of the most intelligent and strategically aware racers in the entire garage, and the history of the sport includes plenty of veteran drivers who found ways to bounce back powerfully after people counted them out. But you cannot honestly look away from the reality sitting right in front of you. The consistent results have not been there. The pressure keeps intensifying with every passing weekend, and the overall energy surrounding the situation feels meaningfully different compared to even just 1 year ago. The coming months are going to be absolutely critical, not just for Kyle Busch personally, but for Richard Childress Racing as an organization. If this partnership cannot find a way to stabilize and start producing real results soon, the questions surrounding Busch's future in the sport are only going to grow louder with each passing race. We're talking about a driver who defined an era, a personality who made every single Sunday feel bigger, whether you were cheering for him or desperately hoping he would not win. And watching him go through a struggle of this magnitude is something that a lot of fans are finding genuinely difficult to process.